Hello, my name is Nolan, and I will be refuting Alan's claim that playing video games has a significantly positive effect on people. His first claim is that video games improve brain activity. His second claim is that video games can be an economically stable job. And his third claim is that video games can have a great effect on the work environment. For his first claim he makes is that video games can improve brain activity. The first point of his claim, he makes an article, he cites an article from Michigan State University about a study done on nearly 500 12-year-olds that found that more kids played video games, the more creative they were in tasks such as drawing pictures and writing stories, in contrast to the use of cell phones and computers. However, the article also mentions that the tests they took after playing said video games to determine their creativity involve tasks such as drawing an interesting and exciting picture from a curved shape and giving the picture and then writing a story about it. And with no further details given on this test, I have no way to ascertain whether this was an accurate test of their creativity or not. The second point of this claim talks about a University College of London, a study done at the University College of London, but it has no source cited, so I have nowhere to go on whether that is true or false. Whether that claim is true or false. And for the third point, he cites an article about how games such as StarCraft can improve problem-solving capabilities. And I took a look at that article, and it has many different bulletins, and it just glazes over the fact. It states that they can help, and it shows a picture of the video game, and it doesn't state any more on how it helps and any more refutable information or statistics to prove that it does help. It just glosses over the point. For the second claim he makes is that video games can then be an economically suitable job. He has a lot of interesting information on this point, but he doesn't have a lot of statistics to back it up. He does state about YouTube's monetization program and how YouTubers such as PewDiePie have made like $4 billion through it. He also states about tournaments of winning $1 million, but I'd imagine that the people who win those tournaments and the YouTubers who make money off of these video games, as the professor said, are relatively small compared to the number of thousands of millions of video gamers out there who play video games. The only one of his facts that I stated that I know to be true on this point is the Twitch subscriber program, which I've seen for myself to be true. And again, he seems to be making a very wide generalization on this point, that anyone can be a video gamer that makes money off of it, but so far the proof he's given us has only shown certain people making money off of it. And if he wants to show us more, I would like to see more proof on how this works. For his third claim, he states that video games can have a great effect on the work environment. The evidence he uses for this point talks about cooperation between countries in the military, and how it helps them cooperate. But again, that information he gives is very small, and if this works on other jobs or other applications, I'd like to see it if it works for any other creative ways to cooperate on other jobs. And I have no idea so far if it does work or if it on other jobs. And the evidence he's given it is just one quote from a source. I need more statistics on this point to prove that, to know if it is true or false. That is my refutation. Thank you for listening.
All right, structurally everything's easy to follow. On the first point, you asked some questions about the methodology of the test, and you raised some issues as to whether or not it seems like it's a sound methodology. You don't really go after the test, you just kind of ask a few questions, and I think the ambiguity of the research suggests that there might be legitimate questions there, but I think you need to be a little bit more forceful about challenging the nature of those arguments and suggest why being able to draw a picture and tell a story is not necessarily a measurement of brain activity, or, for instance, how you measure the significant differences between people who are gamers and non-gamers when they're given that task. I mean, is the story 5% longer or the pictures 12% better? We got no information like that that quantifies this or explains it. It's a very conclusionary piece of data, and you have a question about the way in which it's done. So I think you raised some good issues here. I just think you need to state them a little bit more forcefully. Your criticism of the StarCraft article is very general. In essence, you're giving me a summary of the article, which is what the Advocate also did, and obviously you're summarizing it in completely different ways. You need to pick out specifics in the article and tell me why those specifics indicate the opposite of what the Advocate talked about, or why they failed to demonstrate what the Advocate talked about. I don't think I was convinced either way by the information being presented on that particular point. Now, on the second argument, I thought that you had a legitimate challenge to the reasoning process by suggesting, look, they have very few examples that demonstrate that anybody is making a bucket load of money on playing video games. And I don't think it would be that hard for you to discover how many millions of people play video games. You could talk about how big that industry is, how much money there is involved in it. Nobody's denying that there is an economic basis there. But the question then becomes, can you become a professional video game player and make a living off of that? Well, it does happen to some people, but some people win the lotto too. That doesn't necessarily mean that this is a practical career for somebody. And you could do all kinds of comparisons to other activities, sports activities, for instance, where there might be millions of people who compete in an event, but very few of them make a living at it, right? And much of a successful living at it. A lot of them have to struggle for that. I thought that you had the right argument here, but I think you're missing the opportunity to take some pretty basic evidence and apply it to this argument and be a little bit more effective. And then on the last argument, you basically are suggesting that the evidence that they cited was only an application in the military, and it's not sure that it's applicable outside of that particular context. That's a reasonable press. You say that the sample of the study was really small. I didn't hear any information from you on that particular point, so that's an assertion on your point. You do challenge the lack of statistical information on this. I think that that's pretty reasonable also. And I think there are plenty of ways to suggest that we could accomplish all of these things without having to play any of the video games that the Advocate's talking about. So I think that's the part that you need to be a little bit more assertive about. All right, thank you.